Okay, guys, good morning. This is the lesson that I left in the LMS last Friday. It's titled Poetry Sounds. And this is a lesson that was showcasing poems that are very strong in showcasing sounds. We have already seen poems that are very strong showcasing figurative language and other poems that are very powerful creating images. Today, we're going to be addressing poems that deal with sound, and we're going to be looking for rhyme schemes today. And I want to redefine again some terms that we previously discussed. The first one being rhythm, which is the repetition of sound patterns, and is the one element that gives poems their musical quality. And rhythm should never be confused with rhyme because, as we know, they are different things. Rhythm is just a repetition of sounds, but rhyme is the repetition of particular sounds, vowel sounds and accented vowels that require the use of the human voice. Rhythm does not require the use of the human voice. These poems that have musicality, that have very strong musicality, are said to be written in meter. And meter refers to when words are arranged in a way that allows for lines to repeat a regular pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. Rhyme, as I said earlier, is the repetition of accented vowels and sounds that are produced by the human voice. And we have several kinds of rhyme. We are typically used to exact rhyme that occurs when words echo each other exactly, like in the case of moon and June. Remember that this has to do with how they sound, not how they are written. The double O has the oo sound, and the word June that has the letter U also has the oo, which is the short vowel sound of the U. They sound exactly the same. But then we have another kind of rhyme that is approximate rhyme. And this one occurs only when some sounds are repeated, like in the word hollow and mellow. They rhyme, not exactly because one is hollow and the other LO. So the O in hollow sound different from the A in mellow, LO, but they all end with low. So they do sort of rhyme, although imperfectly. Remember that it's also known as imperfect rhyme. When we talk about a regular pattern of N rhymes, because you can have internal rhyme or N rhyme, we say that that is the rhyme scheme, which is something that you will be doing today. I'm going to be asking you to check out some the rhyme scheme for some poems, because that's coming in the test. Other sound devices include free verse, which is an open form of poetry. This is the type of poem that is not written in meter. However, there are other devices that can be used to create certain sound effects or a level of musicality. The first one being alliteration, which is the repetition of initial consonant sounds in two or more neighboring words or syllables. And then we have assonance, which is the repetition of identical or similar vowel sounds in neighboring words. Let me show you an example of alliteration in two videos. This is a video that I found in YouTube from a movie based on a graphic novel titled V for Vendetta, where the main character introduces himself to Evie by the use of a free verse poem, very ingenious, that is very heavy on the use of alliteration. So check this out.
I can assure you I mean you no harm.
Who are you?
Who is but the form following the function of what, and what I am is a man in a mask.
Well, I can see that.
Of course you can. I'm not questioning your powers of observation. I'm merely remarking upon the paradox of asking a masked man who he is.
Oh, right.
But on this most auspicious of nights, permit me then, in lieu of the more commonplace sobriquet, to suggest the character of this dramatis persona. Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the vox populi, now vacant, vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin, vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violently vicious and voracious violation of volition. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held as a votive not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
Okay, let me show you now what it will look like in this video.
Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the vox populi, now vacant, vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin, vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violently vicious and voracious violation of volition. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held as a votive not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
Okay, the poems that you were required to read included I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, The Courage That My Mother Had, Advice for a Stegosaurus, The Gift, and Possum Crossing. Today, I would like to have a little activity with you. Instead of, well, let's read the first poem. The others we're not going to read out loud. I'm going to ask for a volunteer. Who would like to read I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud?
I'll read it.
Ms. Recia, go ahead. I enjoy you very much when you read poems. As I said before, remember that poems are like supermodels. Okay? They take it easy in the catwalk to display their beauty. You take it easy in your mouth so we can enjoy the beauty of that poem, okay? No rush. And that poem is on page 687 of your book. Everybody should be there right now.
Wander lonely as a cloud that floats on higher vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling wave in glee. A poet could not be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
Thank you, madam. That's a very beautiful poem of a guy that goes on vacation to the countryside and is just amazed by the beauty of nature, especially flowers. I mean, he finds wonder in nature. How many of you find wonder in nature? I mean, you look at a flower, you look at a leaf, You look at an insect, you look at the sky, and you're just amazed. How many of you?
Me.
Me.
You don't find amazement in
Me.
wonder? Do you have a sense of wonder? You know what a sense of wonder is? A sense of wonder is when you look at things and you're like a little child. You're like amazed. You go like, wow, that's incredible. And that is something a person should never lose. Sometimes I think some people are not even born with it. Like nothing, like they find pleasure in nothing, nothing beautiful in beauty. They don't seem to enjoy or find amazement in things. And that's such an important thing in life. So this guy is like, he's in awe of, especially the daffodils. He, in his mind, he sees how the breeze moves them around. And to him, it looks like there's like a chorus line dancing. And it's very musical, as you heard from Atiana's lips. And here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to find the rhyme scheme in that poem. Does anybody here not know how to find a rhyme scheme? We have discussed it before, but we can discuss it again. Anyone? No. Okay, then guys, 2 minutes. Hey guys, 2 minutes are over, and let's see how you did. I want to remind you that you find when you look for rhyme schemes, it's you find the rhyme scheme of a stanza, not of an entire poem. You go stanza by stanza. Is that clear? Or does someone not understand? What's a stanza?
Like the small paragraphs.
Exactly. Instead of a paragraph, you know what a paragraph is in prose? Well, in poetry, you don't call it a paragraph, you call it a stanza. And you don't call it a sentence, you call it a line. And in poems, we don't have narrators. What do we have in poems? In poetry, it's called a speaker. Speaker. So that's part of the vocabulary that you should know. Okay, stanzas, lines, speaker. Okay, the poem. Let's begin with the first stanza. Tyler, why don't you give us the rhyme scheme of the first stanza?
A, B, A, B, C, C.
Let's see. How many of you agree with him?
Me.
Okay, let's see if he's correct or not. Okay, because remember that rhyme schemes are the pattern of n rhymes. N rhymes. So that means that we have to look at the last word. And the last word in the first line is cloud. And it's followed by hills. So those two do not match. So the first one's going to be A, and the second one's going to be B. Then the third one is crowd, and crowd rhymes with which one?
With cloud.
With cloud, which
Cloud.
is already A. So now we have A, B, A, followed by daffodils. And daffodils rhymes with
Hills.
Hills.
hills, which is already is a B. So now we have A, B, A, B. And then we go to trees. And does tree rhyme with any of the previous? No.
No.
So it's going to be a new letter, right? Which would be C. And then we have breeze, which rhymes imperfectly with trees. No,
Trees.
not imperfectly, it rhymes perfectly. And it's another C. So Tyler is absolutely correct. So if you wrote A, B, C, C, you are correct. And in the test, that's what you're gonna do, guys. It's not difficult. It's pretty simple. If you look at the next stanzas, we have three more. They have exactly the same. And all three of them, it's A, B, C, C. I hope that no one went and did A, B, C, C, D, E, F, the whole alphabet, because that will be wrong. Because remember, it's stanza by stanza. Any question? Okay, we have no question. Let's move on to the second poem. There's another poem on page 691, which is titled The Courage of My Mother. I'm sorry, The Courage That My Mother Had by Ines and Vincent Millay. And I would like to have a volunteer that could read it. Natalia, go ahead. And remember what I always say, Natalia, you take your time, okay? Whenever you're ready.
The courage that my mother had, went with her and is with her still. What from New England quired, now granite in a granite hill. The golden brooch my mother wore, she left behind for me to wear. I have nothing I treasure more, yet it is something I could spare. Of, oh, if I instead she'd left to me the thing she took into the grave, that courage like a rock which she has no more need of than I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Appreciate the reading. It was very nice. Um, this poem is about nothing funny, right? It's about a woman who is reminiscing on an heirloom that she has from her mother. You know what an heirloom is, right? Who can tell me what's an heirloom?
Something that has been passed down through generations?
Do you guys have an heirloom?
Yes.
Something that was passed down to you? An heirloom could be a house. An heirloom could be a car. An heirloom could be a book. It could be a Bible. It could be a necklace. It could be anything that is passed down, like Tatiana said, down through the generations. And that's a very typical thing in many families, to pass down something that is very valuable for that family. And what she was left by her mother was what? What was
A,
left to her? A what?
a brooch.
What's that?
Like una pieza que es como like decorativa that you put on clothing.
If you're looking at the book right now, there's a photograph of this creepy looking lady, right? She looks very creepy. And she's wearing something on her neck. That's a brooch. And there's a picture of the brooch on top of the page, at the top of the page also. It's something you can wear on a lapel. It's something you can wear maybe even in your hair. But at the end of the day, when she looks at it, and it said that it's golden, so it has a high monetary value, she finds it rather useless, because there's something she would have preferred her mother to leave her, which is what? What does she desire her mother had left her instead?
Courage, her courage.
Courage. Courage. Is that something that we need in life? Courage.
Yeah.
Or no?
Yes.
Can we live life without courage? Do you need a brooch to live? You don't need a
No.
brooch. No. So that just goes to tell us that the things that have the most value are the things we cannot see or touch or feel. That there are things that are more valuable than gold, because remember that brooch is made of gold. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that are more valuable than gold itself. And one of them is courage. So here we have another poem that was written in meter. And we know that. Why do we know it was written in meter? Because of the way that it sounds. And what are we hearing? What sound?
Rhyme.
Rhyme. We're hearing rhyme. So I'm going to give you 2 additional minutes to find the rhyme scheme in those 3 stanzas. They begin now. Who would like to tell me what's the rhyme scheme of the first stanza?
A, B, A, B.
A, B, A, B. Let's check it out. First one, first word, which is the one at the end of the line, the first line, is had. That's automatically an A, followed by the word still, that sounds nothing like had, that's going to be a B. But then we have the word quarried, add, quarried. It's an imperfect match. It's imperfect. It's not exactly the same, but it's going to be an A because there's a resemblance there. And then we have hill, which rhymes perfectly with still. So it is A, B, A, B. Although, as I said, it's a good thing that the first one is a little bit harder than the other three and the other two, because it makes you think a little bit, right? Because it's imperfect. But then the rest are pretty much perfect, right? We have in the second stanza, war, where, more, spare. Again, we see the pattern A, B, A, B. And then in the third stanza, we have the words me, grave, she, have. And that one is kind of like imperfect too, but it's an A, B pattern. So guys, that's how you find rhyme scheme. Any question? No. Then let us go to the test review. There was a wrap-up activity you guys were supposed to send. This is the test review that I left in the website for your reading pleasure. And I'm going to quickly ask you if you have any kind of trouble with any of these words. Does everybody understand the term poetry and the function of poetry? Anybody? Guys, I need to hear you.
Yeah.
So no problem with that. What about imagery? Everybody understands imagery? Remember, whenever we talk about imagery, we're talking to the senses, and the senses. There's a part in the test where I'm going to give you a line, and I'm going to ask you what kind of image is that. If it's gustatory, it's dealing with what sense?
Taste.
Taste, that is correct. If I say that the image is auditory, what does that mean? What sense is that?
Hearing.
If I say that it's visual, what is that?
Sight.
Sight.
If I say that it's olfactory,
Smell.
smell, correct. And if I say if it's tactile,
Touch.
touch. So in the test, you're going to have like a phrase or a line, and you're going to be asking you. Sometimes we have combinations. Sometimes we can have images, but it's going to be like a multiple selection. It's going to be asking you, is it this or that? And you can choose whichever one you believe it to be. Okay. Does it sound easy? Because it's easy. And the rhyme schemes, you don't even have to like to write it down. You're gonna find some poem that have the rhyme scheme written, and the only thing that you have to figure out if that rhyme scheme is correct or incorrect. That's how it's coming in the test. Is there any confusion with rhythm and rhyme, or do we understand what they are?
Yeah, I think we understand.
It's understandable. Okay. Do you need the human voice to have rhythm?
No. Oh.
No. Do you need the human voice to have rhyme?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Okay. And the rhyme scheme we defined already. Haiku, anybody has, what's the formula for haiku?
575.
That equals?
17.
17, that is correct. We all understand free verse and meter, right? They are like the opposites in poetry. Onomatopoeia. Anybody has a problem with onomatopoeia?
No.
No, it's a special effect. That's a word at the same time. The speaker is the person that says the poem. It's not a narrator. It's not a poet. It's not an author. It's called the speaker. Similes, metaphor, personification, and symbols are the figurative languages that we discussed, but the one that is a little bit broader is the metaphor, where the metaphor can be direct. The comparison is direct. You get it right there very quickly. It can be implied, like it's suggested, or it can be extended. When it's implied or when it's implied or extended, you have to read the entire poem to make sure that you're guessing correctly. And the test is going to have 4 parts, basically. I will not be discussing any of the poems that we read directly. Like another test that you know that we discussed what we read before. That's not going to happen in this test. All the poems that you're going to see there are brand new for the test, specifically designed for the test. Any question, guys?